I am 31 years old and identify as non-binary, she/they. I present as feminine, so female pronouns are fine with me. Today I am officially 36 weeks pregnant. A few months ago I started having severe health issues. I get these severe chest pains and high heart rate. Since elevated heart rate is normal during pregnancy, each doctor shrugged their shoulders and told me to lay down, and they never addressed the chest pains and the feeling that I was having a heart attack. After 2 months my husband and I found a solution. If anyone is interested, it was low sodium levels. I now drink 2 sugar-free Gatorades a day, and if the chest pains start I lay down, eat a bag of chips, and I'm good after a while, but the health problems have persisted. I'm developing symptoms of preeclampsia and the chest pains are getting worse, where my normal solutions haven't been helping as much. I live with my husband A, 28 meters, and his best friend K, 27 meters, in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. There is barely enough room for the 3 of us, and now we have to worry about bringing in a baby for at least a year before we can move to somewhere bigger. More context, K and A have been friends since they were 15 and consider themselves brothers. I also consider K to be like a brother-in-law to me. K has been diagnosed with schizotypal, basically it's on the lower end of the schizophrenia spectrum. He also has almost no life experience. He's learning about etiquette in the world, what to say in specific circumstances, asks us if someone says or does this, what does that mean, etc. 3 weeks ago K brought an overnight guest over, L, 35F. All I knew about her at the time was that she has 5 kids at home. I asked who was watching the kids while she was here and she said she had a babysitter. Honestly, I didn't blame her for wanting a weekend away from the kids. Oh, Weaver, she has barely left. She's been at her own house maybe 5 days out of the 3 weeks. She mainly stays in his room, except one day she asked if she could help do the dishes. Like mentioned earlier, I have been dealing with months of health issues on top of being pregnant, so dishes had gone to the wayside. She cleaned my kitchen for me and I could not express to her how thankful I was for it. It gave me the energy to start cooking again, and I even deep cleaned my fridge. However, at that point she had been here for 2 weeks and I was ready to talk to Kay about the proper etiquette of overnight guests. 3 nights maximum, with almost a week in between visits. Anything more than that is overstaying. This is where I expose my throat as the Wolverine claws come. 4 days ago Kay confided in us that 3 days prior, the one day that Elle was back home, she tried to kill herself, so she was using our apartment as a refuge. I was not comfortable with this and expressed it to K and A. I am already dealing with health issues and being pregnant. I need rest and a relaxing home environment before my baby arrives, and she needs psychological help. I have been suicidal. The first time I tried to kill myself was 206, the second time in 2019, and going to the psych ward was exactly what I needed at the time. I got the care and resources that I needed and I pushed them to push her to do the same. I did not want her in our home. My husband A promised that I wouldn't have to worry about anything, all I have to focus on was me and our baby. I told him that was like sitting me in front of a tornado and saying, hey, don't worry about that tornado, you'll be fine. And Elle ended up staying. She got groceries that night, and included in that was a liter of Bacardi that she immediately tore in two. Like I said, I have been suicidal before and I suggested that this is not the best idea for everyone's mental health, but K, L, and A still killed the whole bottle. My husband A, I don't care if he gets drunk. He gets giggly and kisses me a lot and tells me he loves me. K, however, does not know his limit and he spent the entire night throwing up. I got so mad that night I sat with K, L, and A. Once they had sobered, they had started drinking at like 4, so they were sober by like 9, and we established boundaries as a house. A typical stay for an overnight guest is no more than 3 nights, every week or every other week. Elle promised that she would leave in the morning because she had been here for 3 weeks more often than she hadn't been here. I let her know if she needs resources to let me know and I can help. She said she had a doctor's appointment the next day, so I felt if she expressed her needs to her doctor then she can leave our apartment safely. The next afternoon she brought more groceries for us. She said it was a thank you for letting her stay and I thanked her for the groceries. She talked about wanting fried zucchini or something. I assumed that she had bought a bag of zucchini crisps or something with the groceries. When she left I saw that she had bought oil, whole zucchinis, and breadcrumbs, and I realized she had invited herself to use my kitchen to cook. I know during this next section I did wrong. I'll show my ass to be spanked here. My kitchen is my domain. I have been in the restaurant industry since I was 15 and I am a fucking good cook, and since I'm currently unemployed that is how I provide for my family. You know how cats are territorial over their space? That's how I am with my kitchen. After the realization that she was inviting herself to cook in my kitchen, I also realized that she was not leaving today as she promised. I saw red. I packed up my things, went to my parents' house, and I texted my husband that I will not be returning until Elle is out of our home. We made a boundary as a home and she did not follow it. My husband got mad at me because this is my problem and I needed to handle it myself. I told him that 1. He had to LD me the day before I wouldn't have to worry about anything except myself and our baby, and 2. She violated a boundary we made as a house and so it is our problem. I talked to Kay about Elle leaving, and Kay said she can't go home because she is still living with her abusive ex, whom she is still married to. That's who has been taking care of her kids while she's in our apartment. I mentioned getting a police escort to get him out of the house, get an order of protection, and making sure her home is safe for her to return to. Elle said that would make things worse because she is solely financially dependent on him. That is why she's been here for so long. So I asked if she wanted to be dropped off at a women's shelter so that she can get the resources she needs to get herself and her children away from him. She refused. At this point I have dinner with my family, I decompress, I get my anger under control, I talk out the situation, and I'm feeling better. I called my husband at this point. He pointed out that it wasn't okay with me to delegate my problems to him when I'm the one with a problem. I agreed. Instead of making him talk to Kay and Elle, I should have done it myself. However, I still think that since she still went back on a promise and crossed a boundary, that we as a home collectively have a problem. Yesterday I was so stressed I went to sleep at 4 a.m. I woke up at 7 a.m. and kept cycling the situation in my head. I felt like a monster for kicking an abused suicidal woman out of my house. However, I did not consent to her being here. I expressed that I did not want her here more than 3 nights in a row, and we offered her solutions that she refused. It got so bad that I had the worst cardio episode to date. My husband was ready to call an ambulance and we both thought I was going to die. I finally got my heart rate under control and was able to go back to sleep for a few hours. I woke up in a good mood, feeling better. I had rehearsed what I was going to say to Elle. I was going to sit her down and tell her why I didn't want her in my home. When I got up and saw her still here saying she couldn't find her driver's license, I realized that I shouldn't have to sit and explain my piece. We gave her resources that she refused, we asked her to leave and she didn't for the second day in a row, and I shouldn't have to explain myself. I am 8 months pregnant and I just wanted peace in my home again. Last night Kay asked me if she could stay one more night to make sure she has a safe space to go when she leaves. I spent a long time thinking and I said she could stay one more night if that meant she had a safe space to go. It is now the day Kay said she would be gone. I don't know if she's here. I don't know if she found her license. I don't know if she's going to use the resources we provided for her. I just want to spend the next 3 weeks of my pregnancy in my home, just Kay, and I just want control of my kitchen back. ETA, my brother and I sat and contemplated if she had ill intentions. He said, it's cheaper and easier to buy groceries and live with someone else than to go home to 5 kids. There were also lots of behaviors on her part that made me think that she could have ill intent. I could assume these things all day, but in the end I don't know what she intended. All I know is I did not consent to having her in my house and using it as a refuge. Update 1. I am on the lease alongside Kay and A. We moved in together, all 3 of us, at the same time. They've known each other since they were 15, but we've all lived together for 2 years now. So yes, it is my kitchen, something that all 3 of us established when we moved in. To those saying to get Kay out of the apartment, we will not be doing that. Kay has never acted out in violence, and he honestly didn't know that the maximum amount of time an overnight guest should stay is 3 nights. From his point of view, he was helping a friend that he just happened to be banging. When we all first moved in together, we should have established this with him, but we didn't, and now here we are. I added the context of Kay's mental state to show that he definitely could be taken advantage of here, and as each day passes I think that's what's happening. I agreed when we first moved in with my husband and Kay that Kay can stay with us for as long as he likes. Sometimes he needs help remembering to eat and just needs a little help and support in his life. When we bring up issues with him, he's always good about trying to fix things. To the commenter who said my husband is a dillweed, you are correct, he acted like a dillweed here. When I got home from my parents' house we sat and had a long come to Jesus talk, and now his rhetoric has changed. Especially when he saw how this was affecting my health. He changed his tune real fast and he wants her out of our apartment as badly as I do. I'm also glad that people are stating what I've been saying since the beginning. It sounds like she's using him so that she doesn't have to take care of her 5 kids anymore. She is comfy and cozy in our peaceful home, and based on her behavior she is trying to slowly move in with us. I will admit, the fact that A and K saw nothing wrong with this made me feel like I was going crazy. As soon as Elle leaves, we're having another house meeting to talk about why I was so upset, and how we're going to act from now on. I'm also going to be asking Kay not to have any overnight guests here until we move into a bigger place. I want to rest and recover and raise my baby without having to worry about anyone Kay brings home. And to those who said this situation is dangerous to my health, you were right. A few hours after this post I found that I could not calm down and felt something was wrong. I checked my blood pressure and it was 168/98. My husband and I ran to the ER where it calmed down to 140/90, enough for the doc to be concerned, but they released me. I have had perfect blood pressure my whole life, so for it to be consistently 140 is making me even more stressed. And while we were at the hospital we got a call from Kay. Guess what? Elle still hadn't found her license and was still in our apartment. Elle says she's going to have a friend come get her car and herself at 8 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning. At this point I need to remain calm. I just took deep breaths and all I said was okay. If I do anything else I'll put myself and my baby at risk. Update 2. I would like to go up to bat for my husband. At the beginning of this week, back when we just thought she was a suicidal abused woman, my husband had no problem with her staying as long as she'd like, because if she's here, she's not being abused at home. This is one of the reasons why I felt like a fucking monster for not wanting her in our apartment. Once he saw how deeply everything is affecting me health-wise, and I started pointing out how her story wasn't adding up, he completely changed. He's going to escort her out of our house today, even if he has to drive her home himself. He's sleeping now, I'll wake him before I go. To the person who said we are easy marks for con artists, you're correct. and I have all been in severe abusive relationships before, and we all in the boat of believing women when they say they're being abused. But like many of you have pointed out, her story isn't adding up. This comment section has empowered me in ways you guys don't even realize. I now know that I was not wrong for wanting her out of my home. My reaction wasn't strong enough. Someone suggested I have just as much say and power in the apartment as Elle does simply because I don't pay rent. To them I say, ha. As stated, I am on the lease. K and A pay rent and I contribute by making sure they are fed. I leave big household decisions to them, but in the politics of our house we are all equal. And to those who don't understand that in rental agreements overnight guests are only allowed to stay a maximum of 3 nights, guess what? Overnight guests are only allowed to stay a minimum of 3 nights. As per the rental agreement. I don't have the strength to explain any further than that, so feel free to educate yourself. And to those concerned with my health, genuinely, I thank you. It's been a rough pregnancy, and ever since this started at the beginning of this week things have gotten concerningly worse. My usually perfect blood pressure is now constantly spiking and is consistently higher than usual. In the last 4 days I've had less than 20 hours of collective sleep. Last night was 3 hours. I watch people read Reddit stories on YouTube before I go to sleep and I kept finding myself not comprehending what they were saying. My baby shower is tomorrow and I am not excited about it anymore. I'm not really excited about anything anymore. I already had plans to stay tonight at my parents' house so I could do baby shower prep in the morning. In hindsight I should have stayed at my parents' the first time until she left. This time, I'm packing extra clothes and I'll be there until further notice.